Okay, I'd like to call the Board of Selectmen regular meeting for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 7 p.m. at the Town Hall to order at 7 o'clock. In attendance are Selectmen Ruza, Cockadello, Aspar, O'Brien, and Borbeau, Town Manager David Porter. Let's see, first order of business is to accept the minutes of the March 18th, 2025 regular meeting. I'll entertain a motion, please. Betty? Second?
I'll second.
Joe? Any discussion? Here are just a couple of little things I pointed out on the second page. Under C, Jim Florin's last name was misspelled. And on the last page, down at correspondence, after state should say state police reports instead of state report. Anything else? Those in favor of the minutes as amended, say aye.
Aye.
I'll abstain. Wasn't here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have two additions to the agenda. Are we going to say Mr. Lewis?
I think I may have one more, but
One. I'd like to make a motion to add to the unfinished business 6C, the fire marshal fees. And I'd like to add a 6D, communication pole.
Communications report? Oh, the
Communication pole.
Oh,
Update.
tower. Communications tower.
Tower.
Okay. Mine. All right. And yours is going to be.
And
could I request that we add a 5D?
D.
And this would be the approval of the sale of a John Deere tractor with a spreader and brush mower attachment.
Sale, good.
Yes, yes,
The spreader,
and a brush
the.
mower.
Do we have to do all three separately? Can we just put them all together? I guess because there are two different locations, we'll do them separately. All right, so the first one, I'll make a motion to add.
Oh, wait.
Oh, hang on one
Okay,
second. On the,
Fire marshal report, communications tower, and then John Deere tractor. Speed limit.
well, we're going, are we going to discuss the ordinance on the traffic?
that's already on the agenda.
That's
Yeah.
on the agenda. Okay. So
Okay,
These are.
yeah.
Talk about that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and we'll
Perfect.
discuss it then.
Okay.
These are the additions.
Okay.
First motion I'm making is to add a letter 6C,
Mhm.
fire marshal fees.
Yep.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
Please. Those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion to add a 6D, the communication pole / tower.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
And third, a motion to approve the sale of John Deere tractor with attachments. Please,
Thank you.
those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Okay,
Did we have a second on that?
yes,
Louise.
Louise.
I did all three.
Yeah, I made all the motions, Louise made all the seconds. Okay. Public comments. Members of the Marlborough community are invited to share their thoughts with Board of Selectmen. Please provide your name and address and limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. And please note that the board will not engage in dialogue with the public. Anyone in the room that would like to speak?
Richard Dell, 417 Jones Howell Road. I asked you earlier about the tower, if I could be at the meet, that part of it, when you're gonna be going over it, just for a few questions that I have that would take too long to do in 2 or 3 minutes. Okay, thank you.
Karen?
Carrie Morella, 16 Hidden Woods Drive. I had emailed Deb about this, but I just wanted to state something for public record. So as we all know, Sue Stolpe has resigned from the Board of Ed. Last week, we had a split vote with 3-3, so I'm here tonight requesting that we appoint somebody as soon as possible to fill the vacancy, which, according to the charter, for it to be posted for 30 days would be the April 15th meeting. But on that note, while I was looking through the charter, I just wanted to point out that the town website has not been updated, so Sue is still posted under the boards as a member. So that's, her vacancy isn't showing. So, and then also for the vacancy area, it's obviously not there as well. So just so we could all be in compliance with that and have it posted so that everybody knows, I would appreciate that. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Anyone on Zoom? Hearing none, we'll go on to number 5, new business. The first order of business is the automatic traffic enforcement safety device municipal plan. David, I'll turn that over to you, please.
Sure. So this plan follows a template dictated by the State Department of Transportation. Jay Kehoe has been working with the Doctra company, which is the software provider that does the speed camera. And this is, one of the steps in the process is that the governing body, the Board of Selectmen, has the opportunity to review it, comment, ask questions before it is submitted to the state. So do you have any questions or concerns about anything in here?
Yes, I do. Deb, I speak.
Yes, you may.
The question is, what's going to be posted there for as the speed limit for North Main? I know that we spoke to as 25 posting with a 35 ticket or anything after 35. Is that accurate?
That can be decided later. I don't think that is actually part of this. Right now, we're coming up on close to 2 months since I submitted the request to the state for the 25-mile-per-hour speed limit. I have followed up once with them about 2 weeks ago, and I was very friendly and professional, but kind of said, when can we expect you to finish? And they indicated that they were almost done at that point. So I expect a response back from the state very soon with respect to what the speed limit on that road is. And then if the speed limit is 25, the recommendation is from Jay Kehoe, from our police, is that the camera be calibrated or set to 10 miles per hour over that speed limit. But if the Board of Selectmen wants a higher threshold, I would not recommend going lower than that. But if you wanted a higher threshold, then that is at your discretion.
How flexible are we as a board to look at the speed limit to see if what we have posted is working? If it's not, are we going to, is it reasonable or unreasonable? And the reason why I bring that up, if that we're saying if you go 35 miles an hour, you're okay. The way we're saying now, if you go 36, you're going to get a ticket. Now, is that reasonable to the residents? Where I know that many years ago, North Main was 35. If we want to change it, for example, let's say we want to say the speed limit is 30 and you get a ticket after 40 because the average speed is 35 on North Main. Do we have the flexibility or the authority to change that? And if so, how do we do it?
So to change the speed limit, we have to submit an application to the state. And that's the process that we're going through right now to change it from, I believe, 30 to 25.
Even though the signs say 25.
Right.
Even though the signs say 25. That is correct. My understanding is that once the camera is in, a member of our police department, a sworn law enforcement officer, still has to review, each violation and, click a button to issue a ticket. So if you were to, direct me to direct our police department that you don't want tickets for anything below 40, then you could do that. And you wouldn't have to update the speed limit. The speed limit could still be 25 and you just say, we don't want anything below 40 enforced.
Okay, so we have that option. We have that at our fingertips in the event that we get tarred and feathered for anybody doing 36 and they get a ticket.
Okay, that's fine, but I'm gonna say, if we said 37, what's the difference between 36 and 37? Let's not get into it now, but
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Where do you draw the line? You draw a line and that's the line.
okay, but there is flexibility. I think
Yeah.
that is the most important question.
Yes, there is flexibility to go up. I would not recommend going below 35.
Okay,
I would not recommend,
No.
that, but there is flexibility if down the road you decide to go from 35 to 37 or 40 or,
okay,
whatever
Thank
you
you.
decide.
good.
But just for the record, whenever, a long time ago, with the previous selectmen did not realize that you couldn't just lower the speed because you felt like lowering it.
Right.
And so it's said 25 for many, many years
Yes.
now. So, all I'm saying is, and now we have sidewalk, and we have tons of, you see them,
You're right.
three of us see them all the
Crosswalk.
time.
Yeah,
And
Kids
crosswalks,
and-
by the way.
Absolutely, exactly, anyway.
okay. As long as we have that option, as long as we have some flexibility, this is a great idea.
Okay,
That's all.
Okay, that works.
okay, good.
Anyone else?
Oh, what would be the state's,
Recommendation?
well, yeah, how long will it take before the state gets back to us? I know that you've already had issues with the speed, so I'm assuming, is there a time frame that we will be implementing this?
I hope that it is within a couple of months, but
Yeah.
there's not a lot of precedent yet.
That-
They have approved a camera in Washington, Connecticut that's been operating for a number of months. And I believe that when last I checked, I think they had 4 or 5 other applications, a couple in New Haven, and maybe one in Stamford, and those are bigger cities. And I don't remember where the others were. When last I checked, I don't think that any others had been approved. So, we have an N of 1 to say how long will it take. I don't know. I hope it's within a couple of months, but I can't say for sure.
The data that we were shown last time about the various number of cars that are going within each category of speed was very telling. And I'm seeing, as I'm out there every morning early, I'm seeing more speeding now than I've seen it ever before. These are people going from the center of town heading towards the north. I don't know why, but it seems like it's a racetrack in the morning to see how fast they can go. So we've got statistics. We know what's been happening. We see it with our eyes. We have 5 intersections that we worry about people getting hit in. Some people stop at those intersections, for those of us in the sites, in the crosswalk, and some just blow right through. So I would say, once we get the camera there and we have the warning signs ahead of time, and then we're giving them a month to get used to it. My estimation is, after that month, just obey the law, otherwise you're gonna get a ticket.
I hope we have it before summer.
Oh, I hope so.
That's what I'm really hoping for, before summer, when the kids, especially in Kiersey, where they come across people across all that whole section. Anyway, keep going, keep pushing.
All right.
Yeah, and I just like,
Yeah,
I was just gonna say that, David and Jay did a great job, with their presentation, to the
Did.
DOT, and, hopefully we can move on.
what's I can't say amazing, but if you see who's speeding on North Main, and I have to agree with Deb, it's sometimes, or most of the time, the same car I see time and time again violating the numbers or what we're trying to do. It's not like there's a lot of speeders, but it's the same one consistently on a daily basis at a very specific time. Am I right or wrong?
Right.
Yeah, so, okay, done.
All right.
All right. On to new business B, employee resignations, new hires. We first of all have the Park and Rec seasonal hiring scale. And what we've done before is we've done all of these positions at once. And Joe, I know that you have a granddaughter on here.
I will, okay.
Yeah.
No problem.
Anyone want to make a motion to accept the hiring recommendations for seasonal employees for Park and Rec?
I'll do that.
Betty made a motion.
I'll
You
second
wanna-
it.
Second,
Mhm.
any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain?
I'm saying,
Thank you. And Betty, do we have any to talk about this?
We have one. At our last meeting, we realized that Sal Santa cannot be on the building committee and on the he's a alternate on the board of finance. So Sal Santa has made the decision and he has resigned from the board of finance. So he is off the board of finance. What we need now is to do is to put him on to the building committee. Officially, so. Make a motion, somebody, I'll make a motion that we put Sal on the building committee.
Public building.
Public building committee, yeah.
and I will second it.
Okay.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
I did also, or I think you received an email from Lauren and maybe also from me. But I put the resignation letter in.
That was a good.
Oh, okay, go ahead then.
We do have a resignation letter from Mark Merritt, who is resigning from the zoning board. Date of the letter was March 31st. So that means we have a month, is that correct, Betty? So if people hear about the opening, we're looking for applications for that. A Republican application.
Republican application,
In reference to the Board of Ed.
same thing.
You want to do that?
Well, I was saying it's the same thing. It's 30 days and it has to be a Republican.
Because of the request for charity in the 30 days in the middle of April, do we have another meeting prior to that date?
The next meeting we have is April 15th, and that's when we would take care of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it will be taken care of before their next meeting.
For their
Yes,
next meeting.
yes.
Okay,
Well,
perfect.
So all we need is applications.
Okay,
Yeah.
And with this resignation, again, there's 30 days from March 31st.
yeah.
You have one, you have one application already.
Yes.
See if others come in.
Okay, right, exactly.
No, the reason why I asked is so that the Board of Ed has this 3 and 3 dilemma. So it's important that we get someone in there to take these ties.
So Mark Merritt is, I'm sorry, is listed as a UR.
Yeah.
Affiliated, but endorsed by the Rs.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So it can be really anybody.
Could be a U, I guess.
It can't be a D though. 'cause
Can't
they
be a
already
D.
have-
Could be a U or an R.
U or an R, but it can't be a D.
Oh, you know what? They only have 2 Ds as full members right now. So it could be a D.
So any affiliation.
Okay.
Fill that
Fills
Could be
the
position.
anybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So officially it could be anybody.
Uh-huh. Okay. Or somebody as an alternate could move up too. They wanted to determine, so in 25.
But we allow them, the committee, to make the recommendation to us when moving the alternates up. So we've got to first get somebody in.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
All right. On to D, the approval of the sale of the John Deere tractor and
Attachments.
attachment.
Yes.
Mhm.
So Jim Grossman came to me and indicated, as they are thinking about their facility and work continues on the new building, or not the new building, the refurbished, renovated building. They're evaluating what equipment they have, what they think they need, and as part of that evaluation, there is a John Deere tractor with these 2 attachments that he says they have not used in years. So he went online, looked at sort of the blue book value in that, and he thinks that it's probably worth about $5,500. But before he can sell it or, send it to auction or whatever, it does require the Board of Selectmen's permission to do so.
I'll make a motion to allow the DPW foreman. Supervisor, excuse me, to, put the John Deere tractor and attachments for sale, the best possible price.
Thank you.
John, you'll second that?
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, on to unfinished business, starting with the budget.
I do not have any updates since the most recent Board of Finance meeting.
Okay, so we are looking at the 14th of April as the first public hearing
Yes,
conducted by the Board of Finance. Presentations will be made by all three entities.
that is my understanding. I'm confident that MES and I will present. I don't know if Dr. McNamara will be there. I hope he is.
That's the evening for people to listen to the presentations and ask questions, make comments.
Yes.
6:30 at the school on April 14th.
Yes.
To the Rotary Club Peace polls, plural.
Yes. I called and asked for the website where they found the sort of historical countries of origin for the folks who live in our area, and they promised to send it to me, but did not. But we did in our staff meeting today discuss both the location and also the languages that the staff thought would be appropriate. And so I'll just share with you their ideas. You don't have to accept them, but you can take it into consideration. So they thought that we should have English, Italian, Spanish, the Native American language from this area, which I believe is Algonquin, Polish. They really liked the idea of having Braille, since that is an option. And then they also indicated they did want it to be balanced, but they suggested both Hebrew and Arabic.
Refresh my memory, did they have, the East Hampton polls, did they have English on both?
Yes.
Oh,
So they had English plus.
And then
on both, which would mean that we would have one fewer, so.
4, so you got.
So we have 6 to choose from,
Six besides English.
besides English, yes. So what are your thoughts?
Well, we had the same list I had, except I stopped at, I did English, Italian, Spanish, Algonquin, Polish, Braille, and then I was debating others. I didn't come up with a final one.
What was some of the others you?
David,
I didn't come
is
up
it
with
possible to double
French,
up,
Chinese.
since it's a 4-sided pole? Is it possible to double up on one side of the pole?
I don't know, but I didn't get that impression. I think it is just
Okay.
one language per side.
Mhm.
So you got 6. What was the other one?
I just put down French, Chinese, and German, because I was thinking of the people I know
This
in
is the
town,
poll.
the heritages.
That's a whole.
Gotcha, I see it now.
See it?
Yep, okay.
It's very pretty.
Let me see.
Yeah.
Pretty.
So you're
Mhm.
suggesting French?
Well, the other ones I thought of were just French, Chinese, and German.
Oh, I think we should have it where we have the most people.
Right, and were we asking if there was a way for us to have a set, find out from the census? What those,
Isn't that what
I
the-
asked them to send me the website, and they did say that they would do it, but
that hasn't come.
it hasn't come through yet.
Is there a time frame for, that we need to?
They want to have it up by
They
May.
would like to
I guess
order
that's
these
somewhere, yeah.
tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yes.
There's a time frame.
Let me ask this, not to offend anybody, would we be wise to put the the 6 different items in a hat. When we pull them out, the 4 that come out of the hat, the 4 that we put on the pole.
No, well, I think, no,
I think it's down to just.
Yeah, we don't, I didn't think we had that many.
but if we
Or-
know,
or-
we
You
know.
got,
if
you
we're
got how
agreeing-
many?
if we're
We
agreeing
are-
on 4, don't put those 4 in the hat.
We're up to 6, and if you have English on both, then you have one more space
Right,
to choose.
so if we had to choose between the Hebrew and Arabic, I think that was the choice, right? Didn't we have English, Italian, Spanish,
Spanish.
And Algonquin.
Algonquin,
And Polish.
Polish, Braille,
Hebrew or,
and then Hebrew or Arabic. So we'd have to decide between the 2 of those.
That's kind of sticky.
My own personal thought, pick something so we don't waste a whole lot of time on this and let's keep moving.
I mean, you could also choose Russian or Ukrainian.
oh,
I mean,
I think that's right up there with Hebrew.
yeah, right, well, right. I mean, and that's why we were that's why the town staff thought, if you're going to do Hebrew, you should also do Arabic and vice versa.
That's my point. You
Yeah.
can't, we don't have enough spots.
Without eliminating something else, yes.
Yeah, so that's right. We're gonna eliminate
And
something
if we
else.
choose one of them, we're
But
gonna.
they're kind of, but those 2 are partly the same area. Okay, so I think we only want 1 if we're gonna do that. So I don't know how you're gonna do it. Go back to the hat.
We also have
It's a-
Well,
suggestions
wait
how
a minute, but
to-
just for a second, Deb threw out some other,
Mhm.
here's an idea. Deb threw out 3 other languages,
Yeah.
plus those 2. How about putting all those 5 in the hat and pick them?
I
were they French?
German, French,
German, and
German.
Chinese.
Oh, German.
We got French.
French, German.
I don't think Chinese though. How about French and German?
What else we got?
French and German.
German.
So do 4, French, German, Hebrew, and Arabic.
Let's do those 4.
French, German, what else?
Hebrew and Arabic.
Hebrew
Okay,
Let's go those.
okay, yeah, okay, good.
We're gonna need a
and
hat.
and Arabic,
Yeah, we've got a hat.
right there. I'm looking at
There you
it.
go.
Has a V on it.
We could definitely
And
use
somebody from the audience pick.
Oh, and Hal can pick them.
Here you go, Hal, give me your pen.
And Hal's gonna pick.
We're gonna have Richard Dello pick up.
And if anyone asks, we'll tell them who picked.
No, Richard, there you go.
You didn't mention Russian, by the way.
Let's go.
A lot of those.
So we eliminate, David said, Joe would move on.
So, what's that one? Let me see it. You can't read my writing.
French.
Yeah, French?
Oh, wonderful.
Nice, I like it.
It's done.
What? That's it? We just needed 1?
How many are we picking? I'm lost.
What's that?
Okay,
It's this one. Hebrew.
That's good, we're done.
That's it,
Pick
right?
French, we're
you
done, okay.
picked French, you're done.
We're done.
Do we need to vote?
It's just a
Done.
French.
That's it?
More?
It's just
We're done,
French.
just 1.
Okay.
Thank you,
You
Hal.
just needed 1, thank you.
Yeah,
You
okay.
came up French, thank you.
Get it, get a Yankee hat.
Right, so can we talk about where we're putting these? Because I have an opinion too.
Oh,
Well, I
wasn't
think,
here.
I thought it was-
I think that the town crew also had a little bit to weigh in since they're the ones mowing.
Yes, so what they suggested was on the town green, out on the end closest to the intersection, but inside the wall. Kind of where there's already that bed with mulch in it, so you could put it there and you're not going to have to mow around it. So that was one area. And then the concern, we discussed Blish Park for a while, but there was some concern around vandalism.
It's gotta be vandalized.
Yeah.
And so what they suggested was at the library, in that area with the rocks kind of over by the picnic table and benches.
And I have another suggestion.
Okay.
The school, in the front where they have that big community board that they have when you come
Oh, I
down.
like that too.
You know, when
Yeah.
the people vote there,
I like
people
that.
come in and out of there for sports.
Good.
It is so, traffic, there's a lot of
I
traffic there on
agree.
weekends,
I
7
agree.
days a week.
I
there's
agree,
traffic.
I agree.
I think you've actually made a good
And that-
suggestion,
and
Louise.
Thank you. And that would be good for the town and the
Yeah.
school
I-
to both have
yeah.
the same.
And the kids get to see it. I like
The
it.
kids
I'm
get
trying
to
to
see it.
think, the sign that's there.
Yeah.
where?
Does it have mulch around it at the base?
Not really. It's just grass.
It's just grass?
Well, put some.
But they, I know when I watch them mow over there, I mean, they use weed whackers around that whole area, so they can weed whack around the pole.
Put mulch around it, then you're done.
I mean, so many people are gonna see it.
Yeah,
They go,
that's
go,
good.
all
I
our
think
voters
that's a better
I think it's
choice
great.
in the library. You gotta go to that
Look at that,
library, to
chief.
see it.
I agree.
You
Oh,
know,
the light,
I
yeah.
don't
So,
go-
so by the sign that is already there that says the name of the school and that.
I think they would like
You've
that.
got the sign, you've got the school drive here, you've got the sign here, and there's grass in between. In that grassy area between, so that there's enough place for people to walk around it.
Mhm.
Again, they weed whack around there anyway, so it shouldn't cause a problem.
Okay.
Are we going to need permission from the
Yeah. we can ask
MES?
Holly. I don't. think
I
so.
can ask Holly. I don't anticipate her having
No,
any
not
problem
yet.
with this.
But where, where it might be placed.
And if for whatever reason there is a problem, the library can be our backup.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think there will be.
Okay.
All right, on to the fire marshal fees. Okay, we have Alan with La Liberty here this evening. Joining us, and I know that David, you read off some information for us.
Yes, so you should have this at each of your places. But this is seemingly a fairly comprehensive set of communities here in Connecticut that charge a variety of fees for various activities that their fire marshals engage in. I think that in some of these, a lot of the duties of the fire marshal revolve around annual and semi-annual inspections, ongoing inspections. There are some communities that charge for those. I don't think that's a good idea in Marlborough. My feeling is we have our commercial properties, they pay property taxes, they don't send any children to the school, and that, so if we can sort of give them the state mandated inspection for free, so to speak, I think that's a nice gesture. That being said, a lot of communities do charge a variety of fees for new construction, for plan reviews and inspections while construction is happening at various stages. So it really, tonight, you do not need to set what that fee is. You don't have to say, all right, it's $100 and we're adding 25 for this whole long list of things like some people, like some communities do. You don't need to do that. Tonight, I'm asking you to decide, okay, are you going to adopt the ordinance that we already had the public hearing about, which basically allows you to later set the fee, but have a fee dedicated to the fire marshal that is on its own line? Or the other way to come at this would be to update the current fee schedule and just charge a higher fee for the building permit for a commercial property as opposed to a residential property. And it's kind of 6 1/2 dozen. There is an argument to be made that by passing the ordinance and calling it out as a fire marshal plan review fee, that you're being just a little bit more transparent about what is being funded with this money. But it's really up to you. You can do it either way. And the money, regardless, goes into the general fund. So it doesn't, nothing changes on the accounting end.
We had changed that fee schedule. I think it was either just before you and I got on or just after we got on. I remember that fee schedule. Peter came in and made a presentation about fees. And there was a change. In fact, I think something was reduced rather than increased, which I thought at the time was not the greatest decision.
Can I put input or?
Yes, yes.
So the commission, we've talked to David and the fire marshal, and we're all in agreement. You guys asked for a representative. And a lot of towns, like David said, do a combination, a blend. Fire marshal that we have now and the commission doesn't feel that charging for mandatory annual inspections is prudent. But we are looking for a fee for new construction, non-residential, non-single family homes. We had talked about it, we have a number in our mind, but we feel that, like David said, if it should be clear what you're paying for. Adding it to the building fee, I guess it ends up in the same place, but it's more transparent if you know what you're getting with that dollar and it can be tracked accordingly. And I mean, the building department will still collect the money.
Yeah, it would still be collected at that window, right alongside the building officials' fees. You would just be calling it out so that people could say, okay, this is, the building official comes out and does a plan review and does a series of inspections. And the fire marshal, does plan review, but with a different code, with the fire code, and comes out and does a whole series of inspections. And these are the fees that support those activities.
David, does it take an ordinance to change those fees? In other words, I think we changed fees in the past.
There was no ordinance involved.
So how does the building department have the right, or where do they get the ability to charge for that? And can the fire marshal's office parallel that, or with that line of thought?
To the best of my knowledge, the Board of Selectmen can adjust the fee schedule at a regular meeting by taking a vote.
But does it take an ordinance to do that?
It does not take an ordinance to change the fee schedule. It does take an ordinance to establish a new fee. So that's why you could change the building permit fee and include, fire marshal costs in that. But if you want to create a fee that is called out as the fire marshal's fee, that requires an ordinance. But then after you have that ordinance adopted, you can adjust that fee anytime with just a vote,
It's a meeting.
with a meeting and a vote.
And that would be our preference, to have it separate so that you guys can actually see where that is. So if we pick a number, or you pick a number this year and it's not enough, it can creep up. If it's not being used to its full extent, then there's no reason it can't creep down. And it's just more transparent, makes everything clearer, versus going with the combined. There are some communities that do the combined, but the majority of what I found, especially smaller, it's a separate fee collected by the building department. In some towns you actually have to go to another place and pay. But with us, I think we can do it local.
Did you say that the commission had a number in their mind?
Yes, we've discussed it. We've discussed it with the fire marshal. If you like, I was trying not to complicate anything. So we were looking at 30% of the building fee, which is about $3.90 per thousand of construction costs.
So
I could explain.
Yeah, please.
The way we show the building permit is that an applicant would come in, Teresa would be there, and right on top of the building permit, they would say either residential, and it would be one line, she'll check it off, or another little box would say other than 1 and 2 family residential, and she would check that one off. If it's other than 1 and 2 family residential, then that permit will go a different path, and there's a fee. Alan and I discussed it. Actually, it was $3.91 per thousand. It was a percentage that was reasonable, and it almost parallels all these fees you see on this paper, but it just simplifies it. And that would probably be the easiest and the simplest way to do it. She checks it off, non-1 and 2 family residential, an additional $3.91 per thousand. And that's it. And then that building permit takes its course and it goes in the right direction. Both of us then, the building official and I will have to take a different path to review it. So that's just not for the fire marshal, that's also for the building official, so he knows which way to go, so he knows which book to go into. Sometimes people come to us, and I'll give you a fine example. The homes on, or the home on Jones Hollow. All the way down where we have more than 6 people who are not related to each other in a single family residential home.
Good example.
That's not residential, that's commercial because the 6 people are not related. And it sends myself and the building inspector into a different book. That would be the simplest, that's the fee that Alan and I more or less discuss. And it'd be nice if we could go in that direction. I'd like the record to show, though, I'm here to add information in reference to this as the fire marshal, but I will abstain from the vote on the ordinance. The abstain or refrain?
Recuse.
Abstain, okay.
Yeah,
This is just
Thank
residential.
you,
it's not
Joseph.
Commercial at all.
No, this is,
Not
no,
commercial at all.
All commercial.
no, all
This
commercial.
is all commercial.
All
So if you're building a new house, there is no fire marshal fee, because the fire marshal doesn't have jurisdiction over single family.
In 1 or 2
Oh,
family.
okay.
So it's only anything non-residential, non-single family residential
Oh,
would be.
okay.
So what you have in front of you now, do you want to have the ordinance or not? And I'll speak to my fellow selectmen.
We did the ordinance.
You didn't vote.
No, we haven't voted on it.
No, we haven't.
So that's what we're here to
We had
do.
a public hearing, so now we can vote on the ordinance. Okay.
I like what you're suggesting. So we're not gonna do an ordinance, we're going to,
No,
No, we are doing
We
the
are
ordinance.
we're gonna vote on an
but we're,
ordinance.
the way that you're saying for
We have to do the
$3.90.
ordinance because it's a new fee. It's,
Okay.
it's,
And
it's,
then we
a-
set the fee after the ordinance.
yeah,
is-
it's a
So
new
we're
avenue.
so we don't, we're not gonna set the fee tonight.
Not gonna set the
Okay,
fee
okay,
tonight.
that's good.
So we're just gonna approve the ordinance.
I,
And thank you, Joseph, for the clarification.
right, right,
I'm-
okay, that's good.
Determine. when you
Someone
say-
like to
And
make a
thank you.
motion to that effect?
Make a motion.
Motion to,
What's, how are we gonna?
I was gonna say, I'm not sure.
Approve the
Yeah.
ordinance as
to
written.
approve an ordinance
as presented.
as presented, fire marshal fee ordinance
Ordinance.
as presented.
Oh, I'll make that motion, that's perfect.
Well,
I did.
Betty
You did?
made the motion,
Yeah, I
we'll
did.
give it to
I'll
her,
second it.
There you go.
and Louise will second.
And one more question. Glastonbury doesn't do this, Colchester doesn't do this, Hebron doesn't do this. I mean, I just thought of the surrounding towns. You have 11 here.
Yeah, Glastonbury does, I wasn't able to get with, their fee structure is different.
Okay.
Hebron, to my knowledge, does do some, but I couldn't get it offline. I
Okay.
just did a online search for like towns,
Okay.
try to get most of the stuff. There's a couple larger ones in there, but most of them are about our population. Just try to, but if you look, it's all over the place.
They're all over the place, I know.
Um,
There's no rhyme or, there's,
No,
that's nothing to say.
169 towns and they all have their own
Different.
rules, so.
Yeah,
But that's just for information purposes.
okay.
I know the motion's on the floor, but did you make it clear that this is only at the time of permit and it's not an ongoing process for every annual inspection? Did you make that clear in the ordinance?
And
So that's the
amend
motion.
the motion.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that that is how the ordinance is written.
Okay,
But if you want to make that, have that reflected in the minutes to be doubly clear, that is your
Tracy,
intent.
read what you have for the motion.
So Brian, motion to approve fire marshal fee ordinance as presented, noting that this is not an ongoing fee.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Any other discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Abstentions?
I have said.
Thank you. Okay, on to the communication tower. David, I want to ask you for a little bit of an update as to where we are and so forth.
Sure. So as you may recall, in November, this board authorized me to sign an agreement with Wireless Edge. And that agreement gave them 12 months to go out and effectively market Marlboro and one of 2 sites. to the companies that provide cellular telephone and data service. So the big three are Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. We did that in November, so we're now at the beginning of April, so we're about 4 months into that 12-month period. I did recently communicate with John Arthur, who you may remember. He came once and gave a presentation. He said that it's going reasonably well. He has AT&T has expressed interest in what is called a small cell site, which I guess has fewer antennas and radios than kind of a what they call a full site, but it would still be capable of covering the area that has poor service right now. And at least so far, he has not been able to get very much attention from Verizon or T-Mobile, but he continues to work at it. The challenge is that these are Fortune 500, maybe even Fortune 100 companies, and they move a little bit slowly sometimes. I mean, they have, you know, in at least an annual and sometimes kind of a 2 or 3 year capital spending plan, and they're evaluating hundreds, if not thousands, of sites all across the country. So it takes them some time from when he sort of puts this site in front of them, it gets added to their backlog to review, and it takes them some time to say, oh yeah, you know, we see that there is a dead zone there, and then I'm sure that they look at all sorts of things like median income, which Marlborough would score very well on, and say, oh, you know, that is actually a community that we would like to, you know, improve our reception in. But he is working on it. He does not yet have a firm commitment from either Verizon or T-Mobile, but he may get that in the coming months. And right now, the talks are a little bit more advanced with AT&T. But I think that before he commits to sort of builds the tower and do all of that, I think you could do it with just one, but he'd like to have 2 or ideally even 3 carriers signed up on the tower.
Has he chosen a site? No.
He has not, because the directive that we gave him was, you know, tell these companies about both and let them kind of decide which one they would prefer.
Okay.
We're only 4 months in, we've got 8 months to go, so.
You still have to do the sitting council. You have to do that too.
The siting council.
Siting, yeah.
I mean, one thing that might be an option is we could sign on with AT&T. Then we could go to the siting council and start that process, because it is a months-long process with them. And then I can talk with John, even with just AT&T, that might be enough money for him to build the tower and sort of cover his debt service. It probably would not be enough for us to get, you know, a very significant monthly revenue stream, but that's probably okay. You know, we're not getting anything right now, so we know we can live without it. But then maybe if we built the tower, you know, it could be a Field of Dreams type situation. If you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
Maybe if there is a tower there, then Verizon and T-Mobile will say, oh, well, in that case, you know, we'll come. We want to put our antennas on it. So would you like me to explore that possibility to kind of get things moving a little bit faster?
That's a great idea. Great idea.
Okay.
Rush the other part of it that
Yeah.
has to be done.
I mean, as long as we would need to sort of renegotiate the compensation, and we would need to feel comfortable, which I think we are, but feel free to tell me otherwise. We would need to be comfortable with sort of the town foregoing most of that compensation that we were anticipating from it. But we would not have to pay for the tower. You know, it would get built, and you'd have the emergency communications equipment on it, plus one carrier, AT&T.
even though that would be less revenue, if other companies were excited about it in the future and they do join, then those revenues come up.
Yes,
Renegotiate.
I just don't think he's in a position to offer us the revenue before he signs them,
That's right.
signs them on.
David, is he having trouble to find someone who's willing to step into this neighborhood with this kind of venture because of the cost of it? Are they doing a cost analysis on it? Did he share any of that with you? In other words, if it was if we were in, let's say, New York
Mhm.
on Broadway, they got 10 million customers, they'd be want us in the worst way. But it's not that. This is a small site. They have to look at what is the cost of doing it and what is our cost, what is our revenue? What do we get back from doing this?
Well, and based on my preliminary communication with John, AT&T would do what they call a small cell site. So it is not the full-blown one that you might have in a big city. But the antennas that they would install evidently are powerful enough to cover the smaller area, and they can install it at less expense because there's less equipment. But this is where it kind of comes full circle with us. AT&T would pay him less, and in turn he would pay us less because it is, that's how they make the economics work. Is AT&T will only do it if they're allowed to pay a lower rent for a small cell site. But we still get the coverage and the tower, and so we get most of what we wanted, just not the income, the revenue.
Do you feel comfortable with his efforts, or do you think we should jump ship and go some other direction? Give me your opinion, please.
When we issued the RFP, his experience and background was so much better than any of the other respondents that I'm inclined to stick with him. The only question is, do we want to kind of pursue the opportunity with AT&T now and get the ball rolling, or do we want to give him another 8 months and maybe he'll sign up Verizon or T-Mobile for more money?
Let me just say this, based on what's happening in the country and cost, tariffs, whatever, these costs may go up. So I think my idea is maybe you want to continue with what you're suggesting quickly.
I agree.
That's
The
what I'm
pole
saying.
price is gonna go
Yeah.
up, and, I don't know where they get that pole from.
Rather than take a chance.
That's true.
Bottom line for all this was to get communication for the people who
Yeah.
do not have it, especially for emergency purposes.
Yes,
So the
Okay.
longer we wait,
Right.
prices
exactly.
go up,
it's gonna go up.
Exactly.
Okay,
they don't
Go
have
for it.
coverage. The faster we can move along, maybe the better.
Everybody's in agreement.
Yeah,
okay.
I think
Yes,
so.
I agree
there's people out
completely.
there
We
that
need-
don't have
yeah, We
coverage.
need to pursue it and
Okay. I mean, it will still, even from, so I will email him tomorrow. I believe he's on vacation this week, so he'll probably get back to me on Monday. But what that means is it doesn't mean that it's going to be shovels in the ground, this summer. It's still, but it does mean that he can go and sign up AT&T,
Sure.
and then we can submit the application to the siting council and get that ball rolling, start that clock.
I just think it makes sense. We want the people covered.
Yep.
We want emergency services to be able to be contacted.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Okay.
Go for it. Sooner the better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
don't,
five of us agree.
don't jump ship.
Yeah.
Let's keep with him and keep it.
And we weren't expecting any revenue from this poll. If we had
We
done
were
it,
hoping
our
to
goal,
start
right? We
wrapping
never,
up-
that was never.
that wasn't our goal to
Yeah.
make money on this deal. If we do, it's nice, but,
Right.
you know.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right, Richard, I told you to speak at this
Yes.
point in time, so I'll
Thank
give you
you.
that opportunity right now.
Thank you very much. As you know, and I've been here many times on this cell tower, It's been, I'm Richard Daniel, 417 Jones Hollow Road, by the way. I've always been concerned about this. We had since I was here last, I have fallen. You picked me up off my sidewalk the last time. And, I know you should have left me there. I understand. But you let me also, you all know Larry Pryor, Larry Pryor's had some significant issues. And he was in his house and he was not able to reach anybody. Thank God he has a relationship with his son that if Larry doesn't call him by, say, 9 o'clock in the morning, that the son calls. And he didn't get an answer. That's the only reason they found him in that length of time. I've talked to various neighbors around. On my own, by the way, I tried to figure out and talking to people who you go to. I said to you, are you the big cheese, the top of the ladder? And I said, how do we get the answers? And I keep getting different answers from different people. So on my own, as a private citizen, I found the name and number for the cell tower you're talking about and John Arthur. And people said, well, you won't be able to reach him. He texted me back in, I don't know, 2 hours. And
He's a very nice man.
Huh?
He's a very nice man.
He's a great guy. Not only that, but he's going to text me and we're going to talk next week. What I wanted, and I'm not trying to circumvent anyone. What I'm trying to do, I was one of those people that was on the ground. I want my neighbors all to be safe. Someone said, well, why are you pushing this? I know you want to be safe. I said, I'm 80 years old. Don't tell anybody. You promise? You're not going to tell anybody?
No.
80 years old. I said, so I'm not doing this for me. We have over 200 families there. Do you know what our neighborhood is nicknamed? You said it earlier, the dead zone. I'm serious. This isn't it is known as the dead zone. And I talked to a neighbor whose daughter coming up the road says, oh, listen, I can't talk any longer. I'll be in the dead zone in a minute, meaning that the cell service will drop. There are 200 families. And the last thing I would want to have happen is, well, is there anybody here that would want to answer to someone whose family member died, that this wasn't taken care of? Anybody? I don't see anybody saying, boy, let me get up and talk to them. You don't. Nobody wants to do that. You're right. I want the area covered. I want my neighbors to be taken care of. I want my neighbors to feel safe. And right now, quite honestly, we can't, and I have one other quick question, and that is that how many people in town have only a cell service? I talked to many of my neighbors and said, I'm not going to spend the money. I'm going to cancel my landline and just use my cell phone. Well, if the power goes off here in town, that's not such a good idea right now, is it? Because you can't use the cell, you can't use your landline. As far as the cell service is concerned, if you can't use that, do I make my point? Good, then let me see if I get a few things I've been writing on it. The contract was signed in November. So by next November, what has to happen? In other words, they're going to be between then and now, this coming November, getting people to sign on to the tower?
That is, the contract gives him 12 months to market the site to providers.
Okay.
If he is successful with one or more, then we can move forward. And it sounds like we might even be able to move forward before the 12 months are up.
Oh, you're making me happy.
But in the unlikely event, I don't think that he would have responded to the RFP, but in the unlikely event that no one was interested in this site, then I believe there's also language in there giving him an out. He doesn't have to build the tower if no one wants to put their antennas on it.
How does that, someone said there's another place we have to go to, another source after they say, yes, we got it, we're all set to go to get it approved.
The Connecticut Siting Council.
That would have to be approved. maybe the best thing I said to somebody is, this project now has gone on 4 years. So we go back to when our two priors, first selectman was in.
Greg Lowry.
Huh?
Greg Lowry,
Lowry.
yes.
Greg Lowry,
Yeah.
that's 2011.
Oh, I know, that's,
Yeah, this is the project that doesn't end. It gets eaten up chunks, a month here, 4 months here, 6 months here. And I want to be alive when this thing, even at 80, I want to be alive so they can cart me out. Okay, I'm being funny, but I'm not laughing at all inside on this. The other couple of questions I've got are, the publication. Could you sleeping? No, you're looking at, they could do, maybe the River East could do a story on this. I think one of the biggest problems with this cell tower situation is, you ask most people, like a lot of different topics, they don't know the answers. They don't know all that is involved in this. And I get different, if I ask one question to 4 of you, I'll get 3 different answers. So something in writing that somebody sit down and then put it maybe in the River East CT, there's a town website that people could go on, just so that other neighbors in town can know what's going to happen. And finally, you were mentioning an update. I think it's a great idea. How often should this be updated? Now, someone said, well, I don't think you're going to be able to get through these people. Well, John, being so nice, he got back to me in 2 hours. And he's going to talk to me about this next week. I mean, it's just a question of getting the word out. I don't know. I think that's all. I'm sorry if I'm taking up too much time. Update it, a story to put out. Mention, and one of my neighbors said the same thing. First thing I said, I'm going to come tonight and talk about this tower. And she said, oh, you're talking about the dead zone. I think that pretty much explains all of it. I want to be safe. I don't want Joe to have to come and get me, okay?
I'll pick you up anytime, Richard.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah, if you don't mind, give me 15 seconds, nothing derogatory about the cell tower at all. But since we're on the topic, rather than wait till the end, we can present something.
Since I allowed Richard, yes.
Thank you. One thing, you guys talked about prices rising, move forward quickly. To my understanding, Marlboro, the town of Marlboro doesn't have a dog in this fight. We're not worried about the price. The price is totally on wireless edge. So if they drag their feet, that's their freaking problem. So don't make any decisions based on price. That's their issue. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Go to the town manager update, please.
All right. We spoke earlier about the speed camera, the automatic transportation enforcement safety device. I also learned, and I cannot take credit for this, but you can file this away in the town staff doing a really good job. I understand that in 2021, Jay Kehoe applied for a state grant to install flashing lights at the crosswalk on North Main and Chapman. And it was approved, and they're coming to install them in May.
Wow.
So that long predates me, but that's exciting because in addition to the speed camera, that is also a way to not to enforce, but to alert people and improve the safety of the people crossing the street at that intersection.
It only took 4 years.
Well,
I was going to comment, it shows how well the state
anyway.
handles their,
The good news is that even though it has been a long time in coming, we've finally gotten to the top of their list. The catch basins on Pettingill, the contractor's been working very hard on them, and then our crew, there are 2 of the catch basins that needed more than just the tops replaced, and our in-house public works crew is rebuilding those basins, which is really exciting. And then as weather permits, in between the rainstorms, they're also going to be repainting various facilities at the park and some of the fields, just to freshen them up. We continue to have significant bathroom issues, toilet issues at the library. In fact, the library had to close for at least one day last week, maybe even two. And the challenge is that the pipes that run directly underneath the library, because they're connected to the sewer out on the street, and the bathrooms are over by the parking lot, and there just evidently is not sufficient pitch. And then there's also kind of a bend in the pipe that may have developed over time. I don't think it was kind of there when they were first installed, but we are evaluating several options to get them working again. They are working now, but to make them more reliable. But it may get to the point where we have to take on a more significant project that could involve either rerouting the pipes sort of around the building, or even tearing up part of that concrete floor to replace the pipes entirely with ones that work better. So watch this space. I don't have any answers yet, but it's kind of been this ongoing issue with the toilets at the library.
Same pipes that were put in when we built the library.
I assume so, yeah.
Were they hooked up to the sewers, is what you're talking?
Well, the pipes were originally hooked up to a septic system. We have since attached them to the sewer, but those pipes that run underneath the floor are the original ones. We just extended them out to the sewer.
David, maybe I could add to that. Several years ago, we removed an underground oil tank over
Yeah.
that site.
That's right.
We installed a new one. There was a considerable amount of blasting that was done to put the new one in, and I was on site during the whole time. There was some questions on if it compromised some of the pipes at that time. Piece of information that we should be aware of.
Move them around.
Something, because they should be okay otherwise. You know,
Otherwise, yeah,
It just
but
doesn't
Should
make
be
sense.
fine.
It would
what,
be,
what
yeah.
happened, if they were good at the very beginning, when we CO'd the building, then there was no problem. And then we do a considerable amount of excavation and rock moving, et cetera, et cetera.
Something
It
happens.
may be, sometimes it does damage to pipes
Mhm.
in the proximity of the work that we do. So,
Okay.
it's a little piece of information.
Okay, I'll share that with
Yeah.
with Jim and Dylan,
Yeah.
just so that they
Yeah.
have it in mind as we're evaluating different options. You may have heard that at the federal level, funding was cut for the Institute for Museums and Libraries. That is unlikely to have a very significant direct impact on our library. Most of the funds, from that organization go to the state as opposed to, local libraries. But there is a possibility that in the coming weeks, we might lose access to one of our ebook apps that we get through a state consortium that is funded by that money. So we might lose that. And then that funding is also used for the daily interlibrary loan deliveries. So when you request a book from a library in another community and they deliver it to Marlborough, that is partially funded
That would be a problem.
from that pot of money. So I don't anticipate that going away completely, but instead of having daily deliveries, they might be, just 2 or maybe 3 times a week. So you could still get books from other libraries. You would just wait a little bit longer for
As
it.
long as you get them.
Yeah, so just the tax collector has sent out the sewer benefit assessments and we'll be collecting those this month. By the end of April is when they're due.
We all know.
Okay,
People
well.
on this side know.
And it's not cause for celebration? Okay.
No. Bitter.
The Parks and Recreation Department has their annual Easter egg hunt on April 12th at 10 a.m. If you have any young people who you would like to bring.
I think it starts at 11.
Could be. I thought that Ray told me 10 at the staff meeting today, but I'll check with him. Maybe it's 11.
11, 15, 30, 45.
And then
We have plenty.
The triathlon passes go on sale at the end of April if you have any triathletes who would like to purchase one. And then the fishing derby, the youth fishing derby, is scheduled in early May. For the property revaluation, the data mailers, which are basically the cards that show what the town, the information that the town already has, or what we think we know about your house, you know,
In the
X
mail.
number of bedrooms and
Yeah,
bathrooms
in
and
the
square
mail.
footage and that. Everyone received one of those in the mail, and they're starting to come back in. You can either return them in person, or you can put a stamp on it and stick it in the mailbox. Or there is also a QR code there, and you can fill it out on your phone or tablet and submit it electronically. So any of those three methods work.
Do you have to go on to the QR code? I
you
just
don't.
read
You
that.
don't
You
have
can just
to.
go to the website and go on.
Yeah, you can just go to the website as well. So you could do it on a laptop or a computer or
The assessor
any.
gets that, our assessor.
Our assessor gets it, but so does QDS, which is the company that we hired to help us with the revaluation.
The address on the envelope is Waterbury.
Yes, that's where they are based.
Okay.
So they're collecting all of the data and helping us with that process. But you can also bring it to town hall, and Simon will he'll take it. He'll just stick 20 or 50 of them in an envelope and send it to Waterbury. But either way, we will get it.
Happens to those that don't fill it out.
Nothing, I mean, there's not a fine or a penalty, but it is helpful, especially if there is some discrepancy or you'd like to change something, then that is helpful. And then I also would just like to sort of remind everyone that later on in the process, when they start requesting inspections of some homes. So if you return the card and it is significantly different than what we thought we knew, then they'll probably ask to come see your home to verify, what it is. But we have made enormous progress since the pandemic. So if you want them to come in person, they certainly will. But they also have an option where you can use your phone and use, an app like FaceTime or Zoom, and you can basically give them a tour of your home without them ever coming inside. So they can sort of see what they need to. But it's very convenient for all involved and a little bit less invasive. So hopefully that will be a popular option. The painting is complete at the senior center. If you haven't been up there to take a look, please do. I think it looks really, really nice. And with the permission that you granted, Shoshana has sold some of the bulky furniture. It's really kind of opened up the space. I think it looks a lot bigger. So we're making some really good progress on that front. I also received word that the SUV has arrived at Monaco Ford. So next week when we do the accounts payable, one of the checks in that batch will be for that vehicle. We'll get it to them next week and hopefully take delivery maybe even by the end of next week. So that will be very exciting to have a second vehicle and a much smaller, very fuel efficient one for some of these rides that we provide.
And we had put one of the senior old vans for sale. Did we sell it?
I don't think that it is sold yet. I'll check with Jim Grossman, sort of where we stand on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
For the 2023 audit, we're very, very close. We have been making lots of progress the last couple of weeks. We're very close to sending the last of the records and data that the auditors have requested. I remain optimistic, depending on how long it takes them to turn it around, that we could have a final audit report in hand in May.
Wow.
So, and then we'll just roll right into 2024 as soon as we finish. And thankfully, that's going to be a lot easier because we have institutional memory. We're not auditing a period that predates most of the people working here. Just a reminder, we have the budget public hearings April 14th and May 5th, and then the budget referendum May 6th.
I just want to add one thing. You mentioned about Easter egg hunt.
Yes.
Glastonbury has an Easter egg hunt for dogs 6,000 eggs are gonna be on this Saturday.
For dogs,
For dogs, maybe Park and Rec might, it's wonderful, 6,000 eggs are out there for the dogs.
real eggs,
Well, I assume it's dog eggs.
dog eggs.
They're probably made of doggy treats or something.
Anyway, it's an activity they've had for years. And it's really wonderful. We have a lot of people in town who have dogs. Just
Yeah.
think about it, maybe for Park and Rec, but in the future, seriously.
And they just let them loose.
Yes,
Wow.
go, next Saturday, I'm going with my dog.
It's exciting.
Thank you, Glastonbury.
6,000 dogs.
6,000 eggs,
Oh, okay.
not
How many dogs?
6,000 dogs.
Oh, okay.
I'll count
Okay.
them. He's good.
David, can I add one to your list?
Yes.
Had conversation with Steve Greer in reference to exit 12
Oh,
and the
wow.
on-ramp.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
We had
And,
that meeting postponed.
I said that we had a meeting scheduled on March 10th
Yeah,
at 10 a.m.
right.
and it was canceled. And when would the next meeting be, or what can we do to keep this moving?
Mhm.
To his surprise and to my surprise, he was not aware
Mm,
there was a meeting on March 10th at 10 a.m.
really?
He apologized up and down for either his people or someone not informing him of the continual conversation. He will do his best to get us with DOT to keep this item
Okay.
out front.
Good, okay.
Oh, good.
That's good news.
If you could give Steve a call, David, and
Mhm.
touch base with him, and I don't know if we were supposed to call him or his aide was supposed to do it, but I think it's important to get both Kathy, Austin, and he on the
Together.
state project.
Right.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think that the March 10th meeting was set up by Kathy Austin's staff,
Okay.
and they may not have communicated with Steve Weir or his staff. But as we move forward, if I hear or when I hear anything from either one of them, I'll immediately share it with the other.
Yeah. It'll help tip the scale in our favor.
Yes.
It's good.
Any other selectmen updates? Because that was a selectmen update.
Oh, okay.
Cheating.
Okay, correspondence. You have 2 months worth of state police data in front of you. And we did have a letter sent to us by Ralph Urban on Washington Road, speaking about the upcoming zoning meeting this Thursday evening, I believe it is.
At the
Talking
school.
about the size of lots,
Mhm.
changing the size of lots.
I just want to make a comment. That was a very well-written,
Yes, it was.
very interesting letter. Was that included in the packet?
Yeah.
Good, good.
With the absence of Mark from that commission, do we have an alternate that will be able to sit in that spot?
Ask the pro here.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Good. Good.
They have a meeting this Thursday. It'll be at the school,
What time?
the
7 o'clock?
cafeteria. It's
7
7 o'clock,
at the school.
and there's a lot of public hearings in the agenda. It's online,
Okay, good, thank you.
so.
Okay, we're at the public comments section again. You know the drill. Does anybody have something to say? Ross?
Yeah, Ross Domachowski, 11 South Blackboard. Small comment there. You guys talked about the fire marshal annual inspection fees. And you mentioned that, and I agree, give them the free one, the first one. If you find fault with that inspection or re-inspection, they should be charged for. That would give them, that would provide them, and I don't know, do you provide, Joe, do you provide them with a checklist of, here's what we're gonna look for? Here's what, okay. So if you find fault in that checklist, for you to come back out, they should be charged for the second visit. That's my opinion. You guys have to decide that, obviously. Like the BOS also to consider opening up to a dialogue type thing, rather than just you guys, we talk and you can't talk back and we can't talk back. Open it up to something like that, give it a shot. Other departments, not boards, but other ones do that. They allow public comment. I think the fire, you gotta do. And anybody stand up anytime and say, I don't like that. You should be doing this. And you have no problem with that. And I don't think you've had any issues when you have to bring anybody, pick them up by their collar and throw them out either. So reconsider that. being able to have a dialogue. And if it doesn't work out for you, you can always walk it back. I mean, it doesn't have to be anything permanent in granite and you can't change it. You can always walk it back. Anyway, that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Cal?
Alan Whitney, 20 Ogden Lord Road. This is just a comment on the tower. And I live on the other side of town. I haven't had a dog in the fight here, but this is just for information. As far as T-Mobile, I don't know if you read it recently. T-Mobile has partnered with Starlink to offer a satellite to mobile service called T-Mobile Starlink. Provides connectivity in remote areas where traditional cell towers can't reach. They're in beta right now, and I expect they'll be offering this as an add-on to your T-Mobile subscription in the next 6 months or so. But just be aware, I think I read this somewhere, T-Mobile is now emphasizing this satellite connectivity for so-called dead zones. And they may not be interested in they're not prioritizing cell tower connectivity for dead zones. So just keep that in mind when you talk to your, that's all.
Coming along this line, I know, we come along this line with Starlink. Cell phones are a stepping stone. It's going to be garbage in about 10 years. Because it's all going to be through satellite communications. That's what Musk is, that's what he's got that whole thing set up. That's what he's going to be pushing. And no one's going to be using cell towers anymore. It's all going to be through the satellite, because you can be out in the middle of the friggin' ocean and talk to anybody you want to. That's the way that's the way the whole world is going.
So it's a good thing I don't bother with a cell phone.
That's what I was thinking.
Just use your satellite.
I'm doing just fine without a cell phone.
You don't have a cell phone at all?
I went through emergency and never turned around. Anyone else?
You have the battery charged?
Bring the sun out, no. Anyone else? Hearing none, I will adjourn the meeting at 8:24.